All right, here we are, everyone. Good morning. We're
Good
on
morning.
this wet and
Good
rainy
morning.
Good morning.
Monday. Say good morning, Jackie. Thank you. It's a bad hair day, especially for me. Think about me, Jackie. Every day is a bad hair day.
It's not about you. I'm having a moment.
Understood.
Nothing can help me right now. The lighting is bad. I need.
I do understand what you're saying. Nevertheless,
Dr. R, you have those special lights. You have to bring them in for Jackie.
It won't help.
Corinne's actually having a really good hair day.
I know.
All right, I can only talk about hair so much.
You said I know.
We have an important topic to discuss today.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, do we? What is it?
Drugs.
When was the last time you did those, Dr. R?
I am anti-drug, but there are medications now that are sweeping the country. Apparently, there's going to be a big blowback.
Oh yeah.
For these medications, it's going to be huge, and so many people have heard of these medications. They are called OZEMPIC. They are called Wegovy. There's a couple of others that are out or coming out. This is, in my estimation, pretty bad news. Now, one of the problems is the fact that they do work. Do we know what this means?
For the time being.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
They work, right? Apparently, they work. You lose weight. People lose weight on these medications. So they do work. There are huge howevers, however, and that we need to discuss. First of all, let me ask you, we did talk about this briefly a few months ago. What are you guys hearing about this medication? Do you have friends who are going on them? Have you heard anything from doctors? What have you heard? Trish?
So I do have a loved one that is on one of them due to medical issues. So it was, but a long time ago before it became this fad sensation.
Right.
Yeah, like I feel like it became, it was used specifically for a reason and it helped. And then it seems like everybody is on it just because, for no reason other than they want to lose weight. That was it.
Well, it's important context to note that these are considered diabetes medications.
Correct.
And that was the original purpose. Now, Ozempic, I believe, was first used off-label. It's still being used off-label. Well, what they did was they created this Wegovy, which is, I guess, a more intensified version. And Wegovy now is approved for weight loss.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's kind of the deal with those. Now, and what about you, Corinne, Jackie? What are you hearing? Who are you hearing it from?
Well, I mean, I had actually somebody, a mom, like I told her I work for a weight loss office. She goes, "Could you get me Ozempic?" I'm like, "No, we don't do Ozempic. Like, we're all natural." "Oh no, I don't want to do that. I only want to do Ozempic." I'm like,
not that crazy
okay.
old natural stuff.
I'm like, okay, but again, like, there's the medication was created for reason X, not for reason Y, and you have to take it for what it was created for, not because you lose weight, because in my opinion, it can lower blood sugar, it can lower other things and create medical issues long-term down the line.
That's the established medical fact, but it can do those things. It does do it effectively. It is approved for that, and yet people are using it more for this other purpose. That's why it's become this trending thing.
Right.
Jack, what's your history with it about what you've heard?
I just recently found out one of my friends is doing it. And she's like, it works for me. And her biggest thing about it was, she goes, I don't want to necessarily give up food or things that I'm enjoying, but it was funny. So I started to look around into it. And the truth is, if you are taking Ozempic for weight loss, it tells you to avoid starchy foods, high sugary foods, oily foods, fat. It is absolutely nothing different than what you'd be asked to do if you were following a regular regimen. And the truth is, if you do have those bad foods, unhealthy foods while taking Ozempic, you are then more than likely to have these side effects. Right. The side effects are diarrhea, heartburn, bloat. You could have severe vomiting episodes.
Constipation, dehydration. Yeah, we'll talk
dehydration.
more about this in a minute.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to me. So I've heard about, oh, it works for weight loss, but I got to be honest, I'm too chicken to try anything like that anyway. But I'm
Why would you want to?
I wouldn't. But I do. So this one friend who was telling me, the crazy part is her husband has actually asked for Ozempic to help monitor his blood sugar, and it's been unavailable to him,
Hmm.
which blows my mind because it's unavailable to someone who actually does need it for their particular health diagnosis, but yet it is provided full coverage through insurance for weight loss. And it's, well, what are we encouraging here?
I've got a lot to say right now.
Yeah,
The first thing I want to say is this, Jackie. It's distracting me. Can you center yourself in the screen?
Try and see if you can see my face.
Yes, I want to see your lovely face.
See all the
Okay, good.
files.
All right. So it's no, you're not there. Okay, good, perfect. Okay.
Look, the sky's opened up on me.
Yeah, I have an awful lot to say about this. First of all, there's so much regarding it, whether it's the marketing or it's the actual how it works or the fact that it's off label or how it got so trendy and all of that. But let me just say this first. What is this particular drug? What does it do? So what it does is it pretty much mimics a hormone called glucagon. The way to understand glucagon is it's like the opposite thing of insulin, right? So insulin is kind of a fat storage hormone, and glucagon is a fat burning hormone. Just that's the simplicity of it. It does a lot more. But when people take this medication, what they find is they're not hungry. Their cravings go away, and it helps to balance blood sugar. So that's why people like it. People can lose a lot of weight. More so, I believe, on the Wegovy than the Ozempic. It is extremely expensive. Ozempic is not. I think Ozempic is still not covered. I could be wrong with that. Wegovy is covered. Ozempic costs like $1,300 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you get it injected once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little less. I think it's like $900 a month for Wegovy. Apparently, you have to once you start taking it, you have to keep taking it. Otherwise, the weight comes right back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's almost immediate.
And it comes back very fast. So the prospect of taking a medication for $1,000 a month. Now, of course, if insurance is paying for it, who cares? Which is one of the big problems with insurance.
That's the problem.
It's horrifying, right? When there's a third party who's paying for it or who's dictating things, it's a big conflict. Right. And it gets people to be less responsible. People value things that they pay for.
Agreed.
1,000%.
So there's all of that. Now, there is this shortage because some movie stars, I guess, have tweeted about it and everyone wants it. 3 times a week, we get calls. Do you have Ozempic? Do you have Wegovy?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll ask questions like, well, we're able to accomplish the same thing, but naturally. Like, do you have your heart set on the drugs? But often they do. I literally asked that question. Do you have the heart set on taking the drug?
Dr.
They
Art,
say yes.
you and I were on a meeting the other day. I answered the phone, and that's exactly the phone call that was on the other end.
Yep.
And the person who called said, barely even said hello, and was so frantic. Do you carry Ozempic? I said, no, we don't. Oh, will you be? No. And I'm like, well, and I explained to him what we do and what we offer naturally, and our guarantee the weight loss, the fat burning that it puts you into naturally. And she's like, no, I just want the Ozempic. You don't do any shots. Now, the crazy part is they're not even asking, well, what if? It seems
Right.
people are not concerned about what's in those shots or what it may do long term or what will happen if it stops, but yet they're concerned with skipping the bread and French fries and having more cucumbers and string beans. So it's a very crazy world out there when it comes to health and weight loss and these quick fixes. And are they a quick fix?
Well, my concern during the pandemic, and I said this several times on Facebook and in other places, My concern was there was only one rational conclusion, right? Be less vulnerable. Remember when people were panicking? It felt like, it was a lottery.
Yeah.
And people were dying, right? So the only conclusion was that given that the people who were dying were the ones who were really vulnerable, they tended to be older, obese, things like diabetes or lung issues or whatever. So the best defense was to make yourself as healthy as possible. Countries, the people did not die at nearly the rate as unhealthy Americans. And unfortunately, and this was my concern, that people would, instead of coming to that conclusion, come to the opposite conclusion, was that we need to be saved by a drug. We need to be reliant upon a drug. And that's kind of what happened. And it's the same mindset now. Instead of taking responsibility for becoming more healthier, for increasing your chances of being healthy, of losing weight, of doing the right things, well, we have this drug that can do it for us. That's the mindset.
No one wants to put the effort in, the work anymore. I mean, and it's not that they don't want to because they don't want a successful outcome. I feel like it's more, they're just so afraid that doing something naturally does not work as quickly or won't be as effective. There's just so much fear and failure that they will jump for. If you say it works and it's covered by insurance, then they won't even ask any questions.
Right. I've had that same conversation with people who were going for weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
The weight loss surgery was covered. Forget about what it could potentially do to the body. Forget about that. You still have to watch what you eat. That you still have to take responsibility for your health.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's covered by insurance. Forget about the few weeks off that you need from work.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's when you look at it, it's a type of insanity.
It is.
That's my opinion.
No.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So here's
I was gonna say, like, it's very scary that people think, I if I just take a drug, then I can eat whatever I want. And the truth of the matter is, we all have to realize and recognize that nobody should be able to eat what they want. We have to eat healthy foods and do the right things, because if you don't, then your weight loss, no matter how much you take of Ozempic or of Goyobi or whatever it is, forgive me. Like it doesn't matter because you've changed nothing. So
I think I like that name better, Goyobi.
Sorry, I don't like. I'm so bad. I don't even follow it because I don't believe in that stuff. So I don't even pay attention to it.
It's funny. So, doctor, I'm just looking at what I was talking to you about. So now my concern was Ozempic was created for those with diabetes. So I said, well, what happens if you take it and you don't have diabetes? Like, what does it do? And it says, ideally, you should not take Ozempic if you do not have diabetes. Ozempic may cause serious, but sometimes rare, which is, to me, everything. That's just putting everything under an umbrella, including thyroid, C-cell tumors, and medullary thyroid carcinoma. Medullary thyroid carcinoma. Now, going back, now discusses your skin. It discusses, let's see here, heartburn, stripping of the stomach, including gauntness in your skin. There's so many different things. Now, other doctors are jumping on to, they're now labeling it Ozempic face, where now your skin is sagging. Side effect of the drug, rapid weight loss in general, facial aging. And it's crazy. Like there's
signing up for facial aging. Right?
I mean, it's the last thing I want.
Same. I need to look younger. Let alone.
What if you have like a really smooth young body and you have like a face? It's like Benjamin Button.
Exactly.
No. And you know what? Wait. Let me say it to you this way, okay? You do our program, your face looks amazing. Your skin, your complexion, everything for us changes. So why do you want facial aging when you could come to us and you can lower your metabolic age? You can have your skin look clearer. Like there are so many positive health benefits to doing it the right way, as opposed to doing it through this medicine.
Well, let me say this. I see it as a problem of universes. right? Because in this universe,
People are lazy.
unfortunately, you really cannot have your cake and eat it too. I mean, in this universe, there are certain laws that dictate these things. We have to eat food if we want to nourish our bodies.
Right,
Right?
absolutely.
We have to do the right thing. But what people are doing then is they're living in the universe they want to live in, as opposed to the one they're given. You know, at some level, we're better off accepting the universe we're actually in. We can hope for a better universe to come, but we really need to accept the one that we're in right now. And yes, there is a right way to do things. There is something called health, and it can be improved. And health, by the way, the definition is not merely the absence of illness or symptoms or infirmity.
Yeah.
It's
I
about
mean,
function.
so like you're saying, Dr. R, and I mean, I'm gonna kind of spin off a little bit, and sorry, but like my daughter was recently diagnosed with unable to absorb fructose, right? And the doctor's response to me was, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to cook now." What? Like I cook every day, and it's the same thing like you're saying. Like we have to accept the reality for what it is, and we have to stop eating the processed foods and start eating the foods that are going to help our bodies and nourish our bodies, and so on and so forth.
I guarantee you that there are people out there who have had heart attacks, who have had various maladies, and their doctor says, okay, this is what you need to do. But they're so unwilling to accept their particular reality at that moment that they still do not do it.
Yeah.
If you talk to any cardiologist, I happen to know about this from a family member, right?
Probably
Family
true.
member has a heart issue, and his wife, complained to the doctor. He won't listen to me, doctor. Doctor's like, yes, I know. I hear this every single day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of not accepting the reality and the particular universe that you happen to be living in at that moment. And I got news for you. We all do this to varying degrees every single day. This
Absolutely.
is a more extreme degree.
Yeah.
Right? This is the difference between living in reality and living in hope. The hope is that if you take these things, that there will be no consequences, that for whatever reason, because it might not happen right away, it's not like, okay, I'll take the injection and I'm not going to die immediately from it, then things are okay. But a person can't be surprised when it upsets their digestive tract, when they get old face, which is
That's
a new
not covered
malady
by
apparently.
insurance to fix, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what they do. Some of these side effects are known, but they can be mitigated with various things. So now you're on a whole merry-go-round, right? It's just a lot of effort to avoid the initial effort, is how I see it.
I just, listening to it and knowing that there's so much out there that can be done to do it the right way. It's not even, I can't even say it's a timing thing, right? So someone who I happen to know has been taking it, and wonderful person, and looks great, lost about, I think they said 13 pounds or so in 2 months. So now here's another thing. I happen to know someone actually that my husband works with has been taking it for their diabetes, and in conjunction is losing the weight as a result. He was extremely overweight. He's lost a lot, and I can't. When I first saw the picture, I said, "Oh my gosh!" It wasn't like, "Oh, he looks great. He lost so much weight. He got healthy." He looks almost ill because of how much he's lost. I don't believe his sugar is under control. It is under control with the medication. I don't know if it's controlled in the sense that he's on the verge of being healthier. So it's like a catch-22. And then the other person I know that's taking it for the weight loss portion of it, I thought about, 13 pounds. Oh, great. How long? 2 months. And I'm like, oh, well, I kind of expected, if you're going to be giving me a shot weekly, I was hoping for more. You know what I mean? I'd be hoping for more of a result, and not even that. We go back to this all the time, and I feel like there still is not a clear-cut line to describing what weight loss looks like. And 13 pounds on a program like ours, and 13 pounds of doing something like this, or 13 pounds doing Weight Watchers, is not the same. It is not the same. 13 pounds on our program is closer to 25 pounds, 26 pounds. It's very different. And and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now we're subjecting ourselves to all these other things. It's not fixing the problem once you stop, because there's going to come a point where you're not going to want those injections weekly, especially that you're doing this so young, right? If you're in your 40s doing this, you're hoping to God you have another 45 plus years in you. You're going to do this every week.
Every week, yeah. Can you imagine? And who knows
No.
the long-term side effects as well. So listen, I think anyone listening understands the temptation of it, right? Understands having cravings that are out of control and not being able to say no, and and that that roller coaster of gaining weight and losing it again and gaining it again. So I don't want to come off, sounding insensitive.
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
In a desperate place, and a sense that you don't have any control, and you'll do whatever quote unquote works.
I've got to be honest, Dr. R, that was actually my point too. So when my friend told me this, she was like, she almost didn't want to say it. And I said, I would never judge you. You're doing what you think is going to work for you. Ideally, and if this is going to make you feel good and find your way, by all means, you have to do. It really is very individual based, right? But the funny part is when we discussed, and she was telling about the craving she's not feeling well. I'm like, that's great, because that's one of my troubles, right? But I've also been in a position myself where even if I'm not craving something, I've made poor choices. So I don't know if just because it takes my craving away, like I may not necessarily be craving a cookie, but if a cookie is there, I may grab that cookie. So is it the cravings that it's going to fix? Is it really going to slap my hand and tell me don't touch that?
Well, they're aware of the fact that there may be non-craving, non-physiological reasons that people overeat as well. Okay. So that's a known thing by the drug makers. The drug makers are actually working on other drugs that will address some of those things, right? I mean, and this is projected, these types of medications are projected to be a $90 billion business.
It's insane.
It's insane. The drug makers, they can easily rationalize it because obviously we know the dangers of obesity and we know the rates of obesity. The medications themselves, and this is true about most medications, they cannot fix things.
No.
Right? Because what the problem is physiologically is that things aren't working correctly. The definition of something working correctly in the body is not needing medication for it.
That's true.
Right? So medications aren't substances that make you healthy. They're indications that you're not healthy, that something is not working right. And a lot of people are confused on that point. They'll say, I don't have a problem. I mean, I don't have high blood pressure. I'm taking this medication.
Yeah.
Well, you're physiologically manipulating it, which you can do. It's very much a shell game. Most of these medications block the proper function, and therefore they're able to artificially change the result. If that makes sense.
Scares me too.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did you say? What did you say, Jack?
That scares me also. So and you're gonna make fun of me when I say this, but I'm coming close of a certain age, but my nerves. I'm getting close. No. But
next year, Jackie, not this year.
Next year will be my 40. But certain things are registering differently with me. And it's, as my kids are getting older, I'm always hoping that, as a parent, you always hope to do the right thing all the time for your kids. You always want to make sure that they're always healthy. And one little thing I notice will start my nerves, my anxiety will kick in. And I don't typically get like that. But sometimes where it's like, oh, I just really hope everything's okay. You just start to kind of spiral out of control a little bit. And it's hard to really fit yourself in. And this happens often where it's like, okay, you get nervous and you spiral out, and poor decisions are also made.
Without a doubt.
So it's a mind game almost, but I don't know if I would feel comfortable taking something that would adjust my mindset. if that makes any sense. I think that might be a deal breaker for me.
Well, this is a whole interesting topic, right? Because there are states, right? Be they emotional states or physical states, and good luck separating those things, right? Where people will do anything.
Yeah.
I am not a big medication guy. I experienced a level of pain one time in my life where I would have done literally anything at that point. I understood why in those experiments, like,
Yes.
mothers were willing to give a shocking dose to their children that would have killed them. Like, I understood that. I
Yeah.
understood like how a soldier being tortured would give away the position of their regiment
That instance, yeah.
in that
Right.
in that moment, right?
Mhm.
It just could not be born at all. So I do get that. But let's not confuse that with just overall health and functioning and feeling states, right?
Right.
It's one thing if you get to that point and you need something theoretically.
Of course.
It's another thing for that to be the only strategy, because the only thing that results in is reliance,
It's true.
right?
Very true.
Okay, so how do we handle this? Like, as people who work in a weight loss company, and we know people who are out there. How do you handle it, Trish, if a friend comes to you and says, hey, I want to do this Ozempic thing. You work for this great weight loss company. Like, what's your opinion about it?
So I guess for me, being that I do have a loved one that does use it, however, it was used in a way that was not made for this fad weight loss way. It was used specifically to lower, A1C levels and get under control. And he used it properly and had good results, and it has changed a lot of his way of eating. Also, I also took control of my life last year in more of a natural way, obviously working for FinTech, and started eating properly and differently and changed our meals in the house. So that combined with that helped him. He doesn't eat that, he's not using it and still eating cakes and cookies and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that changed differently for us. I don't know anybody personally that's using it outside of that. However, if they did, I would really let them think about it. Like, one, it's not made for that. It's not made for you to use it as a quick fix. You're taking it away potentially from people that do need it and are not able to use it because you're utilizing it as something that is just unethical to use it. I even have seen doctors that, on social media, I'll follow like, these famous plastic surgeons that do all this stuff. They're pushing it. They're charging $1,500 an injection.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, that's so unethical to
So
just
this
use
is
it
what
that
I was
way.
confused on. In reading about this, I heard it both ways. I heard that it was 50. The number I heard was like 1350, I think,
Yeah,
a month, and then I heard it was that per injection.
per injection.
Per injection, which is
So a
insanity.
week, which is nutty. I think that's
5,200 a month.
right. Like, so one, I feel like even that, you as a doctor and a medical professional, like that you're actually charging people for that is just so, like, that goes, I feel like that goes against, I would really, I mean, right. I feel like that's very unethical to even do that, I don't know anybody using it that way. I would hope that people would just be smart. The long-term damage that I'm sure if you don't have any of these issues, you probably are potentially going to give yourself long-term issues, so
Glucagon,
I would really urge people not to.
it raises blood sugar.
It does.
That's what glucagon does, right?
Yeah.
Insulin lowers it, and glucagon raises it. So what happens long term when you're manipulating it? Now, I mean, you can control it, but what are the long term effects?
Right. Nobody knows, right?
Probably nobody
Nobody
knows.
knows.
Maybe they do, or maybe it's obvious enough that you can project and say, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Well, it kind of like on like with the, what was it? Back like fen, like that quick.
Yeah. What was
It was like a quick
pill, right?
Yeah, it was a pill, and it sped up everything, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there was got to be heart damage. I remember, like, people's hearts would be racing while they were taking it. And then,
Yeah.
I had a doctor prescribe me a long time ago. And actually, not even that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was like a phentermine kind of drug, quick fix, lost weight super fast, but gained it back immediately after stopping taking this pill. So long term, it's definitely going to cause some kind of issues down the road. I can't imagine not.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what it is. And if when having a conversation with people, it is hard to tell adults what to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
really,
Very much
especially
so.
adults who are in a desperate state. I mean, the best you can do is kind of, tell them to do their research.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair enough, you could put your foot down. Whether or not that would work is a different question, right? They could assert that they're right to do what they want with their body, and they would have a point. However, it would be silly and horrible for them to not do their research and make a decision from a point of data and knowledge and not one of ignorance and desperation.
Correct.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like they're choosing this because they're at a point where they need something to work, and it's been proven to work.
Hmm.
I don't, in terms of side effects, what may or may not happen, sometimes it may seem more worth taking a chance because there's always a chance of something. So I think for a lot of cases, it's that way. I don't think that anybody that I know is doing it for weight loss purposes is doing it because they think something bad is going to happen. I think they just need something to work that works with their current lifestyle without making severe changes.
Nobody thinks
Absolutely.
something bad is going to happen, but they're hoping it won't.
Right. But you know what I've heard too, Dr. R, too, a lot of people, their response would be, well, you know what? I need a kickstart. I need just for now, let me lose. Some people have to lose more, right? Some people need to lose that 60 plus without doing a surgery. I also know people that have done the surgery as well. So if they're taking this so-called shot that's going to fix it for them, and they turn around and need, they need more. They need to lose 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. I can't imagine having that type of success if they just stop cold turkey either. Where it's like, okay, you know what? I lost 50 pounds. I'm going to do the rest on my own. I'm going to kickstart exercise. I'm going to kickstart a healthy regimen. I'm now going to start eating healthy because so far these shots help me lose 50 pounds.
Well, the operating model of these medications is that you're on them, period, going forward.
Yeah.
An individual can have their own strategy about that. And, and that's much more justifiable to say, okay, yes, I need this kickstart. Maybe I have an event coming up or something like that, right? But these medications are kind of made to be on for the long term.
Yeah.
And the pharmaceutical companies, they love that. Those lifestyle kind of drugs, they love that. God forbid they would ever have something that you could just take once and it was over. Right? I mean, cure.
No side effects?
I'm sorry?
With no side effects guaranteed?
With no side effect. Right. This is, I mean, listen, if they did have something like that, it would be fine. Okay, it's $500,000. You just take it once.
Where do I sign?
People would pay.
Yeah.
Right. You would get some people paying.
Absolutely.
So it is a tough problem. We're gonna look back on this, and it won't be that far from now, that long from now, and saying what were people thinking. There will still be people, as long as it's legal, there will be people taking it, and it's going to stay legal because of diabetes. For you to take Wegovy, for you to be given a subscription, you have to not only be obese, but you have to have another condition. So
Oh,
you have to
really?
have blood pressure issues, or diabetes, or thyroid. You have to have another condition, and that's one of the criteria. That's kind of how they justify it. But most people don't know, sadly, that diabetes in and of itself, type 2 diabetes, can be halted. It can be managed naturally without the medications. When you lose weight, doctors will tell people this.
Yes.
there's such a sense of apathy, I feel, on the part of doctors, on the part of a lot of patients, that they don't have it within their power to do something about it. So let's all just take this drug. I think it's a disservice to people.
I agree.
So anyway, before we get preachy on that note, we should say goodbye. But be aware of this. We obviously have an alternative, a natural alternative to Ozempic and Wegovy. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I think I am. I think maybe I can advertise like that. That might be an effective advertising for
But
those
most
who are
definitely do your
looking.
research. So, I mean, we have healthier alternatives that are honestly much quicker if you really think about it then.
Yeah, because Jackie, think about it. You said in 2 months somebody lost
13
13 pounds. But our program, you guarantee that you're going to lose 20 pounds in 40 days.
Correct. Yes. So it's a much better investment, I think, from any perspective.
And we're not giving you shots.
No, I do not.
And you're not hungry.
If you're calling and you have your heart set on shots, you will be sorely disappointed.
I've never woke up and was like, "Oh, I can't go wait to get a shot today." Like that's never.
I would sooner give somebody a shot of tequila.
There you go.
A shot of Wegovy, and I'm not handing out shots of tequila either.
I'll take it.
But that's just how I feel about the whole thing. So, and there is something to be said, though. There is and this is almost like Cabbage Patch Kids, right? I mean, there's this fury that's sometimes created. Like a product gets momentum, and everyone wants it, and they're not even sure necessarily why they want it, but they have to have it. And that's the phase that we're in with Wegovy and Ozempic currently.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, those are all the calls we've gotten. That's anybody who does call and ask us, they've heard it works. You'll lose weight. It's covered by insurance for the most part. Somewhere along the line.
Such and such a celebrity recommended it.
Well, this so-called. I met her one time on a subway platform, but and they'll clearly say we don't regret taking it. It's offensive to me too, and I don't have an issue with my blood sugar at all, but there are people that are in need of it for that reason. You don't feel bad about taking it because now you feel like you look thinner or you've lost weight or whatever it is that you've gotten from it. But it's a little. It's just the new thing for now. I definitely
we're in this moment where it's mid-trend. It's Cabbage Patch Dolls 1987 or whatever the year that was. It's those spinny thingies. It's so it just has a momentum all in and of itself. Besides the potential benefits, right? People, they just know they have to have it. We used to call it fiending. They're fiending. That's a term that has to do with illicit drugs. But anyway, what's offensive to me sometimes is overstaying our welcome. So let's say goodbye, and we'll get to work. We'll let everyone else do the same.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Have a good week.
Take care.
Have a good week.